Hey guys, here we are trying to figure out getting my webcam to work because it's not wanting to work, is what it is. So, those of you guys that signed up for my free ribbon reading class on Zoom, y'all overwhelmed me, and apparently Zoom doesn't handle over 200 people on what I have. So, here we are, trying to get my event up on Facebook for those of you guys that want to do a live, etc. My webcam is not wanting to work, so just is what it is. Starting to kind of irritate me just slightly. So we're going to go over ribbon reading today. For those of you guys that don't know what ribbon reading is, this is an ancient divination form. It's mainly used by both the Celtic, the Romanis, and several other people throughout Europe. Still trying to get this thing set up, and I can't get it to work. I don't understand what's going on. Oh well. Hey April, is there any way you can get on my Facebook and let everybody know to go over to TikTok and watch it? I can't get my camera to come on. Not sure what's up with my camera, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so yeah, I'm not sure what's up with my camera. Worked fine last night, did several Zoom classes yesterday, and now I can't even get my webcam to come on. So TikTok it is. Y'all get me here. For those of you guys that don't know about ribbon reading, this is something that was around before cards. It's been around after cards. Almost every culture has different ribbons, different hair accessories, etc. that they've used in their hair. So with ribbon reading, traditionally this was done with the ribbons that women or men, girls, whoever wore in their hair, because almost everybody had a way to tie their hair back. So the Irish travelers used this as a form of divination to tell your future. It's mainly based off of color theory. So if you guys are here to learn about ribbon reading, get you a paper, get you a pen, because get ready to take some notes. I'm going to teach you guys what all the different colors mean, how to read the ribbons when they fall. I have my kit here next to me. I do have ribbon reading kits on my website if you guys want to buy one afterwards, or please feel free to go and put together your own that is just yours personally. So I will put this on YouTube after I'm done, because thankfully TikTok records everything for me. So if you guys have to go, if you miss any part of it, it will be on YouTube for y'all later. So let's start with color theory. You guys ready to take some notes? As far as ribbons go, if you create your own ribbon reading kit, you want to have the main colors in there. You want to have black, white, blue. I also have a pale blue because they mean different things. Green, red, gold and silver, indigo, purple, orange, yellow, and pink. Normally I have a brown in here as well, but I don't in this particular kit. You can also add other colors, gray, lavender, magenta, etc. Every single color means something different. But we're going to go through these basic colors right here, and then I'm going to show you how to pull them out of the bag, toss them, and read what they say. For those of you guys that are working on boosting your intuition, you're working on building your gut feeling and trusting it, this is a great way to do it because it's fun, it's colorful, and it's not like anything else you've ever done. So you don't have preconceived notions on how you have to do it. So let's start with white and what white means. And for those of you guys that are familiar with color theory at all, then you'll already kind of know this a little bit. If you work with candles, if you work with anything color-wise, this is the basic for what each color means. So let's talk about white first. So the white ribbon is purity, it's cleansing, it's connecting to your higher self. It also will help you connect with the goddesses, and it can, if you're working with candles, white can be used in a pinch for any other color. With ribbon reading, white is white. It is what it is. So if I go too fast, guys, just tell me to kind of slow down a little bit. I get to excitedly talking and I go way too fast. So, yeah. As far as white goes, when you pull a white ribbon out, this is with any other ribbons, you have to make sure you look at the ribbons it's touching, you look at the ribbons it's around, etc. Because white could mean you need to purify a certain situation, or it could mean that you're connected to the divine. So we'll talk about all of this in just a second. Do you guys want me to go back through what white means? I see you guys are like, yes, slow down. This will be on YouTube later, guys, too. So let's go back through what white means. So white is purity. It's cleansing. It's connection to the goddesses, feminine. It also represents truth and healing. By healing, though, white means more you need to purify something, such as a bad habit. I love you too. For those of you guys just joining, I am teaching you guys ribbon readings. Right now, we just started. We're going through the colors. And if you guys have missed any part of this, it will be on YouTube later. All right, let's talk about the black ribbon. So black is very interesting as far as ribbon reading goes because it can represent a couple of different meanings. It can represent some good things and some not so good things. So with black in particular, I have my notes up here so I'll make sure I don't miss anything because I get excited and blah, 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 blah. So with black in particular, let's talk about the good side. It can represent grounding, and I'll go kind of slow so you guys can take notes. It represents protection. It also represents release. Thank you, love. And it represents reversal. As far as the other things, the not so good things. Black represents binding, such as you need to bind something or somebody has bound you. It also represents shape-shifting. Negativity. It can represent destroying something as well. Were you able to get on Facebook, April? Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So, with what somebody asked, what do you mean by shape shifting? So, depending on who you're reading for, etc., certain cultures have shapeshifters in their lore, such as most Native American cultures, Celtic, a lot of the European, Egyptian, pretty much every culture has shapeshifters in it. This could mean someone in your life that started off one way and has shifted to something else. It could mean that someone, thank you, love, has put a hex or a curse on you as far as shifting things around you. There's so many different things that shape-shifting could mean. So like I said, I'm going to go through all of the colors and then I'll tell you guys, we'll pull a few and I'll tell you guys how to read them. So I'll turn my camera down so you guys can see everything. So let's talk about blue. This, if you guys have a regular blue ribbon, needs to be a solid color blue. Every different shade of color means something different. So like for me, I have 2 shades of blue in here and we'll go through why. This color blue in particular means wisdom, it means protection, it also means water, it means forgiveness. I love satin ribbons. It can mean communication, Hey, the Green Witch. If you guys don't follow the Green Witch right there, you should. She's hilarious. She's one of my favorite TikTokers. This shade of blue also represents trust. So the kits that are on my site, yes, they have a little cheat sheet that comes with them. So let's talk about this lighter shade of blue. The lighter shade of blue is calm. It's inner peace. It also represents the air element. It represents good fortune and spiritual inspiration. Thank you, Rebecca. Have a good day yourself, love. So let's talk about green. I only have a dark green in here in this particular kit that I'm using today because I didn't want to overwhelm you guys, but there are about a bazillion shades of every single color here. What I would recommend if you guys are building your own kit would be to start off with basic colors and then add in other colors as you go, because it's kind of memorizing what each color means. So let's talk about green. Green in particular means money and prosperity. I love this shade of green too, this beautiful emerald shade. It also means abundance. This is, thank you, this is the earth element. This is also success and emotional healing. It also represents physical healing. Green is basically all the good stuff. It's money, it's health, it's prosperity. So let's talk about red. So red is the fire element. For those of you guys just joining, I'm going through the different color meanings when it comes to ribbon reading, and then I'm going to teach you guys how to read ribbons. And yes, this will be on YouTube later. All of my social media is the Blue Bodhi. Make sure you follow me. So this one right here is passion. It's vitality. It's lust. It's also survival. It's action. It can also mean aggressiveness. As well as courage and bravery. Now, red does not mean love. Red means lust and passion. We'll talk about love here in just a little bit. So now, let's talk about gold. Gold also represents the masculine as well as the sun and solar energy. It represents divination. It represents luck. It represents abundance. and enlightenment. It also represents happiness. For those of you guys asking, yes, this will be on YouTube later. Let's talk about silver. So silver represents the feminine and lunar magic. Looked lavender there for a minute, didn't it? So it represents clairvoyance and intuition. It also represents astral travel, astral projection. It represents dreams and intuition. And I saw the question come across about if I was Celtic or if this just resonated with me. I come from a long line of Irish traveler descent, as well as Scottish and Norse. So yes, the Celtic ways are a lot of the things that I practice, the ways that I walk, etc. So ribbon reading is something that I have always been drawn to. And because I have multiple forms of synesthesia, I have studied color theory extensively. So, yes. Lunar magic is what silver is for. Connection to the moon. So, let's talk about indigo. I know this is a little deeper blue, but this is my indigo ribbon in this kit. So, indigo is spiritual connection. It's meditation. I almost said mediation. It's meditation. It's also psychic abilities. It represents spiritual wisdom, discovering your inner truth, and spiritual guidance. Now, there are some bad aspects to indigo, believe it or not. So depending on what this is around, it could also mean depression. And it could also mean that you need to change some habits. I love you guys too. All right. So, let's talk about purple. Purple is the color of royalty. Usually means a higher level of something. It is your psychic abilities. It's also, it's kind of funny to me that this one is all of these great things and then some bad things at the same time. It's spiritual wisdom. It's spiritual power. It is the connection to the divine. It's also clarity. So this one here are the bad aspects to purple. Like I said, this depends what it's around. So the bad aspects to purple are being judgy, and something being hidden from you. So guys, if you're just joining, I'm going through the colors of the ribbons that I have here in my kit, and then I will teach you guys how to read them, how to pull them, throw them, and read them. So let's talk about orange. I used to not like the color orange, but I am fascinated with orange now, especially orange satin ribbons. Like, I just want to watch it do this all day long. So this right here, orange is a very innovative color. This is thinking outside the box. It is also increasing your personal energy. I love it in the light. I just want to keep twisting it and watching it. Orange is also for legal matters. So depending on what this falls next to, it could represent a court case. It could represent a legal battle of some type. Orange is also for business. So prosperity, etc. in business. Orange is also creativity. So it's a very innovative, creative, prosperous, business-wise color. So let's talk about yellow. Yellow is actually for memory. It also can represent solar energy. Yeah, orange is one of my favorite colors now. This one here is setting and realizing goals. It's also organization and focus. Yellow can also represent happiness or a lack of it, depending on how it falls. Now let's talk about pink. I should have had it by red, but I did not for a reason. Pink is actually the color of love. Red is lust. Pink is love. Pink is also emotional healing. It's nurturing. It's harmony and compassion. They also, yes, somebody asked, will these colors work in beads for bracelets? Yes. These are the basic meanings behind these different colors. They work for ribbon reading. They work for jewelry, for bracelets. They also work for candle magic and candle colors. If you guys missed my candle magic class yesterday, I will be teaching it again in a couple of months. So when it comes to ribbon reading, these are kind of the base colors that I have in a basic kit. If you want to also add lavender, I do not have one in this kit, but let me tell you what lavender is for, a lighter purple, because it does mean something different. Lavender itself is a very nostalgic color. It's also peace, intuition. Ooh, it's on my eye. It also represents near-death experiences, walking both sides of the veil, and it represents the paranormal. So, with ribbons, what you do with them, you need a good bag to put them in. So, teal ribbons, turquoise ribbons, that's a great question. Teal and turquoise, kind of interchangeable there, are great to have in this kit as well. They are a mix of green and blue. They usually represent emotional healing, mental healing. They represent healing other people. and they also represent the mix of the earth and the sky. So if you're mixing two elements together. Hello in England. So when it comes to reading ribbons, here is the best way to do that. Now, I carry mine in a Crown Royal bag. I also carry my bone kits in a Crown Royal bag because they're soft inside, but they're not so fuzzy that they will snag something. With ribbons, I usually try to throw them in there, shake them up a little bit. So, I'm going to do a sample read for Filey, just because she's right here, and she's one of my mods. So, Filey, here's what I do whenever I'm doing a ribbon reading for someone. I know that I have 8 different ribbons in there. So, you never want someone to pull all the ribbons. What I recommend while you're learning is you pull the ribbons. So, Filey, I would like for you to pick a number between 2 and 6. Five. So my bones are also in here. I usually read ribbons and bones together. All right, so what I do is I just pull them out. 2, 3, 4. You had a whole bunch come out all at once. All right. So here's kind of how they fell. This one fell like this. I'm going to move them up here. The gold fell over here. And this is silver down here. No, this is white down here. So you have yellow, you have silver, you have green, and you have white, and you have gold. So here's what this tells me. Now you got to figure out which way to start. Trust your intuition, guys. I usually start from the top and come down. But you can start from the bottom and go up, left to right. Trust your intuition. There is no right or wrong way to start when it comes to reading ribbons. There's no set layout like there is with cards. Ribbon reading is super intuitive, and you need to trust your gut when you're learning. So, with these right here, we're going to start up here and work our way down. So, Filey has the gold ribbon, nice and straight like this. And it comes all the way down. It lays flat out. So this right here tells me that right at this moment, she is working very hard on her spiritual understanding. She is paying a lot of attention to a lot of masculine energy, both in herself and around her, which tells me that she has a lot of personal power right now. This right here also tells me that she's keeping that separate from other things. Her spiritual path is completely separated from all these other aspects. The white ribbon up here, being that it's up here, it's separated, but all this stuff is below it. This tells me that she's got things in her life right now that she's purifying. She's paying attention to cleansing, to purification, and to healing some of these aspects here. And we're going to talk about those in just a second. Now, you see how these came out in a jumble like this? The white is over it, and it comes in with the ribbon, with the gold ribbon. See how it forms a wedge right here? It's like the white is coming in like this. It's not quite there yet, but it's coming in between her spiritual self and her physical self. So she's really, really working on cleansing and clarifying and putting a break in between these two. With this right here, see how these have kind of all mixed together? I don't know how well you can see them, but the silver is on the bottom, yet the green comes over it, and then the yellow comes over that. So we're going to start with the silver on the bottom and work our way up. We're going to go silver, green, gold. So the silver, see how it curves back on itself? Silver is lunar energy. It's a feminine energy. It's also psychic abilities. This right here, seeing as how it's twisting back on itself, it tells me that Filey is kind of ignoring her feminine side a little bit lately in lieu of this masculine personal power here, which I know Filey, so I know what she does for a living, and that makes absolute sense to me. Because in what she does, she has to have this type of power. She has to tap into this really hardcore, in a way, power and be in charge. So I understand that. So this right here, I'm not faulting her for it because she has to be this way. But this right here, how it curves back on itself, it tells me that you kind of disconnected slightly from your feminine self lately. But the way that it curves back onto each other tells me that you're super in touch with lunar energy right now and with where you are going, what you're learning as far as your psychic abilities. So seeing this ribbon like this, a triangle is also good. It's balance. So seeing this makes me very proud of her. It tells me that she's really, really been busting ass working on pushing her gifts forward. So that makes me very proud. Shapes matter as well, guys. So a triangle is balance. Let's talk about the green. See how it twists on itself right there? And it goes up this way. Green represents health and healing. It also represents prosperity. Being as the yellow is over this, the green is between the silver and the yellow, I don't take this as much as prosperity as I do healing. And here's why. The way it flips on itself, and because it's over this silver right here, and it even comes up over it. I know you guys can't see that very well, but it comes up and over it. So this right here tells me that Filey is going through a lot of healing aspects with herself right now. Since it's touching the moon, and since it's in between, it's got the white coming down in between the green and the gold. This tells me there is a very interesting amount of shadow work going on there, because see how this flips over on itself? There's a very interesting amount of shadow work going on there to make sure that she's healing what she needs to heal to connect to this aspect of herself more. The fact that it goes out like this and it doesn't curve like the others do tells me that she's doing a very good job of it. She is actually walking through and healing the things that she needs to heal to move forward. So again, this makes me very proud of her. She's not doubling back on herself. She's not making excuses. She's not doing any of those things. She is healing from them. She is learning her lesson on what she needs to learn as far as shadow work. So the other aspect right here that I see, because this is right here next to the white ribbon, it tells me that she has something physical, health-wise, that she's working on changing and purifying with herself. So again, the green ribbon makes me very proud of you. Thank you, love. So let's talk about the yellow ribbon right here. So the yellow ribbon kind of curves up and over. It like flips on itself a little bit. Being that it's over the top of everything, here's where it's tattling on you again, Filey. Being that it's over the top and it's wide open on this end over here, it doesn't touch, doesn't come back to itself. This tells me that you're really putting on a happy face over some of this healing and this darker aspects in here. You put on a good face outwardly, even when you're dealing with these things underneath. But this also, as it crosses the silver here, it tells me that this is your happy place. Learning right now about your personal power, divination, magic, etc. makes you happy. Not only that, but even some of this healing journey you're on is making you happy. Even though it's hard, and even though you see that there's still a lot more work to do. See how long the ribbon goes out here? You're happy with it, with what's happening, with the outcomes that's going through it. Being that it's open, it tells me that you still feel like there's something missing in your life to complete that happiness circuit, to complete that creativity. So overall, I could really interpret even longer on this, but overall, this right here tells me that Filey has been doing an amazing amount of inner work. Filey has also been really paying attention to the signs around her. She's been paying attention to her shadow work. She's been paying attention to what she needs to do for herself as far as moving forward on her spiritual journey, on her path, etc. So, to me, this is a fantastic read. This is a very fantastic read. I'm trying to make sure I turn the camera so you can see kind of all of it. So, there you go. Do you guys have, before I do another example, do you guys have questions about how this is laid out or how you would read something here? That's a great question. Someone asked, can you do a ribbon reading for yourself? Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone asked, how do you know it's shadow work? Here's how I interpret this as being shadow work. Silver itself is psychic abilities and psychic gifts. It's moving forward spiritually. Gold is connection to your spiritual self. Both of those talk about a spiritual journey. Being that this green is over the silver and then comes down and flips, that's the opposite side. So the shadow is the opposite side of the light side of yourself. So you have your shadow side, your light side. Do you see what I'm saying there? So someone asked, oh, hang on just a minute here. How to drop properly. Gotcha. So how to drop properly. Any more questions before I pick this one up? But I can answer more questions here shortly. So how to drop properly. Because if you notice, thank you, love, some of them came out straight and some of them did not. This is partially why I like having bones in here, because it helps the ribbons to break up a little bit. Yes, you want to pull one at a time. So Nikki's here, so let me read for Nikki, okay? So Nikki, pick a number between 2 and 6.
3.
So Nikki picked 3. So here's what you guys do. I don't look in the bag. I literally put my hand in, I mix it around, I pull the first one out, and I drop it like that. And it landed like this on its side. So I'm going to move it over here slightly so y'all can see better. I literally pick it and drop it. And sometimes I will shuffle through just to get a better one. Okay. So she also had the gold one. Well, it fell way up here. So let me move it down here. Nikki just wants to be like, okay. So first of all, do you see how all these fell pretty straight, pretty even? These two, even though this one fell a little higher up and I moved it down. See how they all fell like that? They all fell straight. They didn't curve on top of each other. This right here tells me, A, this is 3 separate issues. They don't intertwine, but at the same time, they do kind of go together. It also tells me that she's very straightforward in the way she deals with issues, that she doesn't internalize a lot. So, again, I'm going to start with the top and go down. So, Nikki has the gold ribbon up here on the top, okay? Whereas it fell like this and it's over-compassing all of this aspect, gold is not only a very solar and a very masculine aspect, but gold, that ribbon in particular, is very spiritual. It's a lot of spiritual understanding. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of moving forward. So this right here tells me that right now the things that are affecting Nikki the most, she's looking at with a very spiritual eye on different things, whether it's job-wise, whether it's health-wise, whether it's family-wise, whether it's just her internal self. She's really had something open her eyes up where she's looking at everything in a spiritual aspect. And I'll read these other two with it in just a second because this affects this, which affects that. So, as you can see, this one comes down here where the orange starts. Being that they both landed on their side, they didn't land flat, they didn't curve over each other, they're standing up straight. First of all, this tells me that she's very, very firm in where she stands with herself spiritually right now. Even if she's like, I don't quite know where I'm going, I'm still learning, she's very firm in what she's understanding, who she is, where she's going, etc. This one right here. As I told you guys a while ago, orange is one of my favorite colors, especially to see in a ribbon reading, because orange is amazing energy. It's also extremely creative and extremely innovative. So this is some aspect of Nikki right now that she's putting a lot of thought into outside the box. Being that it's right under the spirituality and it's right over the blue, it tells me that she's looking at integrating the spiritual part and the physical part of her life together in a unique way that's unique for Nikki. She's not going through and looking at all these other people's things and putting that into place. She's being very innovative with it. And as she's being very innovative with it, see how it's standing up as well? She's being very firm with it. So she's making a decision and sticking to it and not going back or wishy-washy on herself here. The blue ribbon right here, it stands up on its side, but it does start to bend over down here. I don't know if you guys can see that down there in the corner. It starts to bend over slightly here. But see, it comes up, instead of being curved like these two, it comes up right here. That blue in general, I keep having to take a deep breath and then blow it to the side so I don't blow the ribbons everywhere. That blue in general is a lot of trust. It's a lot of calmness. It's holding these other two up, which tells me it's very steadfast. And the way that it rolls right there, let's talk about this part up here, where I know you can't see it on there. I don't want to move it too much. It's about that far from the orange ribbon on the top. So it kind of comes like this, and it almost touching it, but not quite. It tells me that she has found a very interesting inner calm right now, that it's going straight up toward this innovative aspect of herself. So she's got something inside that she has decided, okay, it is what it is. I'm just going to let it be right here. It is what it is. I'm just going to walk through it, and I'm going to figure out this innovative way around it. Where it curves over here and it lays flat. Thank you, love. Where it lays flat, it tells me that she's really putting her trust in the universe. She's putting her trust in herself and figuring out these issues here. So in seeing this is someone, if I didn't know Nikki, this is someone that's very steadfast and very firm in who they are. They don't make wishy-washy decisions, and they're very upfront and vocal about what they want, how they feel, etc. So, that makes sense?
100% accurate. Holy crap. Looking with the ribbon.
So, ribbon reading is so much fun, guys. It's so much fun. You're welcome. Filey said very much for Nikki.
Thank you. I love it.
So, with ribbon reading, you have to trust your gut, guys. I'm going to put this back up slightly. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust your gut. One of the great things about it is it's very intuitive. Once you know what the colors mean, and like I said, it's a little bit of memorization right up front, just like tarot cards. A little bit of memorization. Yeah. Once you know the color meanings, it's so easy to intuitively read ribbons. Plus, it looks cool. It's fantastic. So, my ribbons that I cut, are about 5 inches. I wouldn't recommend going too much longer than 6 inches because then you can cause a bit of a pileup. Don't go shorter than 3. Anywhere from 3 to 6 is about normal. I do know people that read with like 2-foot ribbons, but they take them and drop them. It's really cool and it's really ornate. It's hard to do on TikTok or on a video unless somebody's standing pretty far back. The colors that I recommend are the ones that we went through the color meanings for. And then I'm apparently going to drop some in the floor. I would absolutely use all the primary colors. Let me go through the list really quickly of the colors that I always keep in a kit. I have a few different kits, but the colors I always keep in a ribbon reading kit are black, white, red, orange, yellow, green, a medium green. This one's more emerald, but a medium green. Light blue, regular blue. This one's royal. This is one of my favorite colors right here. This is what I use for my indigo ribbon. Sometimes it's hard to find indigo. Purple, pink, silver, and gold. So someone asked, do you usually have each color a different length or all the same? Your ribbons should be all the same length. Now, the other kit that I have that I do readings with, which I haven't done in a while, and apparently I should get back to doing it, I have multiple lengths of the same color. The main ribbon reading kit I has like almost, I want to say 35 or 40 different ribbons in it. When you guys are just learning, I would recommend these colors and only 3 to 6 inches long. So someone asked about substituting gray for silver. So here's the thing about that. Gray means something completely different than silver does. I did not put it into this because it can get a little confusing. If you guys would love to know what gray means, I'll go through that real quick with you guys if you want to add gray in there. Gray is a color of neutrality. It's also a color of conservatism, such as being conservative in the way you're looking at a job or an emotion or an event. Gray is also sophistication. Gray also can mean depression. It can mean withdrawal. And it can mean being too hard in a situation. Copper is an interesting color. Sometimes it's hard to find copper ribbon, but copper has a few different things. Copper is mainly business-wise. So this is why I don't include copper in a ribbon reading, because not everybody owns a business, works, etc. Not everybody has the need for a copper ribbon. So copper ribbon is business goals. It's prosperity. And it's also moving forward with your business. So I do have ribbon kits on my site. They come in a warded satin bag. Somebody asked about the color brown. Normally, like in my bigger reading kit, I do have a brown ribbon in there. Let me go through what brown is for. Brown is very earth-based. So if you have a brown and a green ribbon in a kit, the brown will take the form of the earth element. Green will take the form of plants and like flora. So brown is not only for earth, it's for family matters. It's for the home. It's also for physical and material safety. Brown also represents lost objects, such as a lost love, lost keys, something like that. So when you guys are just starting out, if you order a kit off my site, it's going to have these colors in it. It will not have brown, but it will have these colors in it. It's a great basic kit for you guys to build and go forward from there. One of the things that I do recommend if you guys want to put together your own kit is start basic until you have learned all of the colors and then start adding in more. That way you can get this part down before you throw something else in there. So you can get this cool ribbon reading aspect down and impress people and be like, and then the next time they see you, you have more ribbons, etc. So with ribbon reading, I literally have to like, it does not matter what type of ribbon or width. If you guys noticed, I have a couple of different widths of ribbon in here. It doesn't matter what width. If you like, at first, my first kit I put together, they all had to be the same width and the same size and so on. I got over that very quickly. But they don't have to be the same width. I usually try to do satin feeling ribbons, whether it's regular satin, synthetic, fake, whatever. But every now and then you can't find a good color in that satin, so you have to get more of the woven one. So it's up to you guys what type of ribbon you want to use. If you want to get really bougie with it and have decorated ribbons, absolutely. It's your kit. It's whatever you feel resonates with you. So somebody asked how to understand the different shapes while the ribbon falls down. So when the ribbon falls and does different shapes, let's do a couple examples here. Say I pulled the black one and it's not going to cooperate and it lands like this. And then the yellow one lands like this on top of it. See how it's kind of looped up over it? There you go. See how it's looped up over it? This right here tells me that you have something very particular you're trying to protect. See how it's on its side? You have something very particular you're trying to protect. You're trying to really pay attention to this background aspect here. It's something that's always in the back of your mind that you are not going to let go of very easily. The yellow, it not only curves up and over it, but it flips on itself. So this tells me that whatever this is you're protecting, A, you're doing it happily, but B, you're doing it in a way that creates more positivity into the situation. If a ribbon curves on itself like this, see how it actually flips over and you have the front and the back? This right here tells me you're looking at all aspects of a situation. Now, if it was just like this, or lands on its side, etc., whether it's like this, it doesn't curve on itself, then it tells me that you still have some aspect to look at to learn. So yeah. If it lands on its side, that's something very steadfast, very important, very straightforward. If it lands on its back, it's just the situation in general. If it lands all, I have some older ribbons that land all like this, all crazy. If they cross themselves, that's everything is intuitively read. Did that answer the question? I know it's kind of a long answer, but. So one of the cool things about ribbon reading is that once you have your kit, you can always add to it. You can always add to it. So one of the great things about it as well is that when you're adding to it, you don't just have to add ribbons. Of course, what I would say though is start with ribbons until you learn everything. Someone asked, let me go back up here. But use your intuition. Yes, use your intuition on how they lay. So if you have one that's curving over another one, that's something completely different than if it's just laying on top. I usually use a Crown Royal bag because they're soft enough inside that it doesn't cause a lot of static, doesn't cause a lot of issues. It's also not going to snag stuff. The other reason that I use this bag is because this is bones and trinkets that's in here in the bottom. So you can add coins, you can add whatever. So here's some of the stuff that's in my ribbon kit here. I have tons of bones and trinkets in there. So you guys can make it as intricate or as simple as you want. I would really recommend that when you guys are first starting to learn to read, that you make it very simple, because trying to learn too many things at once can get overwhelming, and then you don't want to learn. You put it up and you don't want to use it. So what other questions do we have about ribbons and ribbon readings? Would you guys like me to do one more example of a ribbon reading for you guys? Yes, you guys can absolutely burn the ends of the ribbon to keep them from fraying. I usually, when I have newer ribbons in there, I kind of let them fray a little bit and do what they're going to do because I like that worn aspect to them. I've also seen people that dipped the ends in wax. The only thing I don't like about, oh, thank you, B. The only thing I don't like about dipping them in wax is that if you have them in a hot car or it gets hot in your house or whatever, that wax can adhere together. So it's completely up to you what you want to do on the ends of your ribbons. It's your kit, so it's all up to you. But yes, I do recommend sealing them. You can also use clear nail polish that won't stick together. Just make sure you let it dry really well. Or you can use Mod Podge or something like that to tape the ends down. I have seen people that got really cool ornate fabric tape, like gold or whatever, and have done the edges, so it looks really cool. Like I said, as bougie as you want to get with it, it's your kit. Make it yours. So, everybody's saying one more. Okay. Brianna, are you here? Thank you, sweetheart. Ooh, great question. How do you know when you need to replace a ribbon? That's fantastic. Okay. Let me answer this question, and then I'm going to pull ribbons for Brie. So, the only time I usually replace a ribbon is if something happens and it gets super frayed. There are times I've had ribbons in here with a bone that has snagged them to the point that I couldn't really fix it, and it just kind of ruined that ribbon. So I had to get a different ribbon. Really, that's the only time. I love my older kit. It's packed up right now in storage. But I love my older kit because those ribbons are older. They're worn. They're not as rigid. You guys can put the ribbons, like seal the edges and put them in a lingerie bag and run them through the washer to get some of that stiffness out if you want. That will help tremendously with how they lay and everything. But if they get bent up, you can iron them. Just run a cool iron over them. Ooh, that's another great question. Do you need to cleanse or say anything before you have a reading with them? This is completely up to you guys. If you're just starting, if you get a kit, if you put a kit together, what I would recommend doing is, yes, cleansing it first. You can just cleanse it in the bag, put the smoke over it, whatever you want to do. Just be careful you don't light the bag on fire, because I probably will and have done that. So just be careful with the smoke and so on. You can lay them on a bed of salt. You can do whatever you feel needs to be done to cleanse them. You can set them in the full moonlight, in the new moonlight. Set them on your altar. Set them beside your bed. Dedicate them to yourselves just like you would dedicate a brand new deck of cards to yourself. As far as having trouble interpreting the ribbons, that's kind of an interesting question, because it's really hard to misinterpret them. If you're worried about that, just worry about what the colors say. That's why I go through the colors first. Just start with what each color means and how this color coincides with this color, coincides with this color. That way you don't have to worry about it. So let me go back to cleansing and so on with the kit. If you guys are new to reading, if you're new to divination in any form, whether it's cards, whether it's pendulums, scrying, ribbon readings, whatever, I would recommend cleansing them before you use them the very first time. And if you feel the need to cleanse them after you've read for somebody, even yourself, then please do so. It's all up to you. I have been doing this a very, very long time. All of my divination tools stay with selenite. They stay in a cedar chest, open cedar chest. They stay in things that are protective for them. So what I would highly recommend is do what feels comfortable for you. I do not cleanse my things after every read. In fact, I rarely cleanse my cards because they sit in a large cedar case over there. I'm really in tune with my cards, and they all have their own personalities. And so I found that when I super cleanse them, it strips them of all that. It'd be just like rewiring a person. So that's kind of how I am with my ribbons, with my pendulum, with everything else. So I always will thank them when I'm done using them for the day. And sometimes we may have a little tough love talk depending on how they acted. But somebody asked, what about a silver platter? It would be gorgeous to read them on a silver platter. Usually whenever I'm reading ribbons for people at an event, whatever, I have a divination cloth that I lay out. I also love reading them on fur or on leather, something like that that's more old school to me. But you can read them on whatever you would like to read them on. So let me pull ribbons for Bree. We'll do one more example. So Bree, pick a number between 2 and 6. I will absolutely talk about the one-year mentorship here in just a second. So Bree picked 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! Okay. So I'm going to try to turn this down before I lose a ribbon. So the red is way up here because I'm going to have to move them slightly just because I threw them everywhere. But this is a very interesting, very, very interesting layout. So I'm going to try to do this so you guys can see them a little better, because I actually really don't want to move this. So the reason that I asked her to pick a number, I know that I have 8 ribbons in there. You never want to pull all 8. You never want to, if you have 10, if you have 20, you don't want to pull all 20. You want to pull a smaller number. You always want to pull more than 1, but never the whole amount you have. I know some people that if they have a massive ribbon kit, they will wiggle their hand down there, they will pick out a handful, and they will drop them that way. So you can do that. When it comes to dropping them, I don't ever try to look in the bag. I reach in there, I pull the bag up like this so I can't see what I'm getting, and I pull them out and drop them. Because if you can see what you're getting, your brain already goes, oh, I know that blue is for this. I know red is for this. You see what I'm saying? It taints your reading. So I never, ever make it to where I look in the bag. I will put the bag up like this so I can't see my hand in the bag. And then I will pull them out. And usually I do kind of look away a little bit. I'll drop them really fast because I don't want myself to already start preconceiving everything before I see it all at once. So you guys can absolutely put whatever else you would like with your kit. But like I said, what I recommend when you're starting off learning to read ribbons, just start off with basic colors until you learn all of them. Then add from there. Because if you overwhelm yourself with too many things in your ribbon reading kit, whether it's bones, whether it's crystals, whether it's trinkets, whatever, it's going to get frustrating and you won't be able to read well with it. You'll confuse everything right off the bat. So that's why I recommend starting with basic ribbons until you get the color meanings down pat. So, Bree, here's what I would say about this. And I tried to get this back a little bit so you guys could see how these fell. And I dropped them all over here. So pay attention. It's just like with cards. Pay attention to how they fall, where they fall, etc. So I'm going to start from the top and read down. With Bree, she has an interesting thing going here. So she has the orange on the bottom and then the red and then the yellow over it. Make sure I breathe out that way. So we're going to start with the red because it's at the top. So see how this is curved on itself right there? We've talked about this with Filey's, and then it did not show up in Nikki's, but it's showing up right here. This tells me that this is a lot of action, it's a lot of movement, and it's a lot of change. All of this tells me this is a lot of change right here. With this action-oriented red flipping upside down, this is a huge change in Bree's life right here that's kind of getting put on the back burner for right now. It's kind of like I'm putting this out of sight, out of mind for a minute. This is crazily important. This is a situation that's almost overwhelming right here, but at the same time, it's making her super happy. This action and this movement forward, let's start right here with the orange. So we're just going to focus on this right here, where the red crosses the orange. That orange represents creativity. It represents innovation. It represents a unique way of looking at a situation, at a problem, etc. The red over it tells me that not only is she figuring it out, but she's rushing forward. When she's figuring things out, she's pushing forward to get these things done. So this is a situation that's super important to her. It's taking precedence in what she's doing lately. The yellow over here, seeing how it crosses the red right up here by this other aspect, tells me that having this situation going on is keeping her very happy right now. It's satisfying that need to do, to move forward, to change. It's satisfying that need for movement, for action. So seeing that and where this happiness connects tells me that she is not the type of person that likes to sit and be idle. But whatever this is, she's literally trying to push it. She doesn't want to deal with it right now. It's over here to the side. Ooh, and I just fucked up your ribbon. Sorry. So, let's talk about right here. With these two, see how the orange one curves over on itself too? And the yellow does the same right here before we get to here. This is interesting because whereas these connect up here, and this is a happy place with moving forward with this new and innovative idea and going, rocketing towards it, being able to implement it. This right here is where ideas and the happiness coincide. This is where she can make the decisions and move forward on it. This is almost like daydreaming about all the other aspects of this situation that could happen. So if this is, say this is a business idea, or yeah, let's just, for fuck's sake, say it's business idea. She's got business things she's implementing, she's doing, and just making her deliriously happy about it. Here, this is after she's done for the day with working through these issues and rocketing forward. This is what makes her happy. This is daydreaming about it, about what could be, what is, what needs to happen, what would be badass if it happened. You see what I'm saying? So this right here is daydreaming about it. Forming plans. But here's the other aspect. I know you guys can't see very well right here. I'm going to try to move this forward slightly. But this one comes over the purple, and the blue, the indigo, lays over the purple. So in my kit, this is my indigo ribbon. And I'm trying not to touch it because it's hanging off. So, Bree fix to get called out a little bit here. One thing with ribbons is they really can call you out on some things, whether you're ready for it or not. I will sugarcoat, Bree. Okay, I will sugarcoat. So, so here's the thing with this. These two down here, I'm not taking as the best of things. A, because they're at the very bottom. B, because that indigo lays over the purple. And B, because your happiness, C flips. Do you see where it curves right there? It falls right along the same edge as that purple. Your yellow barely curves over the purple, but like that much. And then it's like, nope. So this down here, I'm taking this indigo right here as there's some anxiety and some kind of really being down on yourself, being too hard on yourself right here. If I didn't know, Bree, I would say this is some depression. This is something that you're hiding, you're not dealing with, and it's keeping you down spiritually. It's keeping some of your personal power down. Being that it crosses that purple right there. It tells me that whatever this anxiety is, it's almost overwhelming some of this spiritual aspect of her right now. So even thinking about this is making her not happy. She doesn't even want to think about it. So that also coincides with this red over here, with this aspect that's being pushed to the side, out of mind. Sorry, Brie. But it also tells me she's throwing all of her energy in this up here because she's not ready to deal with these things yet. But they are starting to creep up into this action and into this happiness. So they're going to have to get dealt with sooner or later. Probably sooner. So, not called out at all. But do you see how they fall can tell you a whole bunch of different things? Oh, now April's on you. So, I'm going to try to pick this up and show you kind of how these fell so you can see what I mean. So the purple fell like this, and the yellow, it kind of was like this, but it literally skirted the edge like that. So do you see what I mean when I was talking about how she's like ignoring that? I don't want to think about it. It doesn't make me happy, so kapacha. The hanging off the table like that, that's a great question. Someone asked, what about the hanging off the table? The hanging off the table tells me that those are parts that are being pushed way down. It's like, I'm not dealing with that right now. And here's the thing with that, guys. I'm not faulting her for that at all. Because this up here is obviously very important. It's very action-oriented. It's moving forward. It's very creative. This right here is very important to her right now. Not that these other things are not. But this is what's taking her focus. And the fact, the colors that were up here, it tells me that she's choosing to focus on that because it's important to her. These things are creeping up in there, but she does know they're there. So, I don't take that as a bad thing. She's not hiding them on purpose. Now, if they were pushed so far down, or they had fallen off the table, or none of these ribbons touched those other two, then I would say, dude, you have shit you are ignoring that you don't even realize is festering. But she knows it's there. She just knows that she has priorities right now. So, yeah. Right, you're going to have to deal with them eventually, which we all have shit like that, guys. We all have shit like that we have to deal with eventually. So, how was that, Bree? Was it spot on? Was it bad? Was it good? So, what other questions do we have about ribbon reading, guys? I do love how supportive you guys all are. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube later, I hate that you guys can't see the comments here on TikTok, because if you guys don't follow me on TikTok and watch the lives, we have an amazing group of people that are always here, as well as my fantastic mods who are always supportive and always happy to help each other. So ribbon reading, here's the thing. No one really knows if it started with the Romanis or with the Irish traveler community. It's been in both of them for a very long time, but there's also evidence of it in Norse, in Polish, in Egyptian, because almost every culture had different things they wore in their hair, in Greek, etc. It's mainly color theory and using your intuition. But before cards were a thing, before cards were readily available, reading ribbons and reading trinkets were the way that divination was done. There's also reading runes on stones, on pieces of wood. The Greek read runes on pottery shards. So there's a ton of different divination modes out there, aside from cards and from runes and pendulums and so on. I love ribbon reading because I feel like it's kind of a lost art. That's why I wanted to do a class and teach you guys how to do it. It's just a wonderful, fantastic way to read for people. So someone said, if they fall off the table totally, does that mean you're totally ignorant to what is going on? Sometimes, yes. If I had, so say that purple ribbon and that indigo ribbon had crossed and then fallen over completely, I would have said, okay, you kind of knew what was going on, but now you've literally just squashed it. Like you're not even paying attention to what that could be. If they immediately just fell off the table, then I would say, hey, that is something that's festering down there really, really bad. We've got to figure out what that is. You've got to figure out what that is. So if it is something that, say the purple fell and the indigo fell and then the indigo fell off the table, that would tell me she kind of knows about the issue, but that indigo falling off that way, she is literally glossing over any of that anxiety or depression that could be there because of that issue. So as far as book recommendations about ribbon reading, I don't really know if there are any out there. There are, I actually haven't nerded around on TikTok to see about ribbon readings. I may have to start doing them for you guys. I don't know. It's kind of fantastic. But let me see here, because there were some other great questions that were up here. I always love having lives when you guys ask some great questions. Thank you guys for the compliments. You're so sweet. So, usually when I'm doing a ribbon reading, someone asked about if people are allowed to ask questions. When you guys are just starting to learn ribbon reading and starting to practice, I recommend just doing general pulls for what the universe needs that person to know. I don't recommend letting them answer or ask questions right off the bat. So what I would do is say, okay, I'm going to pull ribbons just for what the universe needs you to know. The same thing with cards, guys. If you're just learning cards, same thing. You don't have to do a specific layout. You don't have to answer questions. What I would recommend doing, is learning those colors first. Learning how they fall. Learning how to intuitively read them. Then you can go through and ask them if they have a question. You can put those ribbons up, do a full reading, and then put those ribbons up or go from there. Once you get to where you know what each ribbon means, how it falls, etc., then you can let them ask questions. So let's see here. I know there is a couple other ones. So pay attention to the interactions of the ribbons before and after they fall. So I mainly pay attention after they fall. Because if you pay attention when they're falling, as they're falling, it can be a little hard to determine. So I pay attention to them after they have settled. There was another great question up here. Some people might be more receptive to it over cards or runes. With ribbons, there's always going to be those people that are more receptive to it because it's something different, because it's kind of a lost art. Then there's going to be people that say that you're of the devil anyway because you're doing divination. So just is what it is. So someone asked, is it a message from the spirit or the universe? This is literally how you want to see it, guys. Some people see this as their spirit guides pulling the ribbons for them. Some people see it as a message from God, from Allah, from Yeshua, from the universe, from their deities. It's whoever you connect with. Whoever you connect with. If you have deities that you work with, ask them to help you pull the right ribbons. If you trust the universe, same thing. If you trust God, same thing. It's all your own abilities and your own practice. So with me, before I ever do any ribbon readings, I put the intention in that whatever the universe needs this person to know is what's going to pull out of there. I do the same thing with my cards. I just put the intention that whatever this person needs to know, whatever I am here to tell them that day, that's what comes out. Whenever I always wear a braid right here, it's wound up in here, but I always have one right here. Whenever I braid it during the day or every morning, I will go through and I will say, please let the people that come in front of me today be there for the right reasons, for their highest good. Let me know the right things to say for their highest good. I always put that intention into my hair magic and into my readings, that I need to know, I want to know the right things to say for that person's path. Even if I'm just the one that says one tiny thing to someone that's listening to someone else's reading and it prompts them to go do something else, go get a reading, follow their path better, then I've done my job. So that's what I put into my hair magic, into my readings, etc. So you never know what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, who you're going to say it to, or who's going to hear it, that it might set them on their path correctly. So remember that as you guys go forward. So when you guys are reading, when you guys, whether it's ribbon reading, card reading, whatever, if you're reading for someone and you hear something interesting in your head, you hear a different way of wording it, say instead of saying, oh, you need to stop shopping on Amazon so much, you hear, you need to stop going to the stores or something. Say it that way. Just because you hear something weird that's not your normal way of looking at it, still say it that way. You're hearing those words because that's what's going to resonate with that person. So, there you go. That's the best way to start trusting your own gut. Is just to do it. One of the other things you guys can do when you're practicing readings is literally get back to being 5. Play pretend. So before you put yourself in that mode of, okay, I'm going to do card readings for my sister. I'm going to do card readings for my best friend, whatever. Here's what you want to play. Here's what you want to play in your head. You are the all-powerful, all-knowing psychic, the witch, the seer, the whatever. You know everything. So when you're first starting, here's what I recommend you guys doing. The person in front of you, let them know you're going to read for them. They're only allowed to say yes. Now, this doesn't mean say yes to everything. They're only allowed to say yes to the things that are correct, that resonate with them. They're not allowed to explain why, and they're not allowed to say no. Do this with somebody you trust, okay? So if I were to pull those ribbons and say, I saw that the red fell out like this, and the pink fell out like this, and then a blue fell out down here. I would take that as, if, say I had my best girlfriend sitting in front of me. Oh, you not only met someone, but the passion is there. You're kind of loving this person, and you really trust them. Like that, to me, would be an amazing looking love reading right there. So she's only allowed to say yes to the things that resonate with her. So when I say, oh, okay, this red one tells me that you have a very passionate, action-oriented thing going on in your life right now. She's only allowed to say yes. She's not allowed to tell me what that is. She's just allowed to say yes. And when I see that pink ribbon over the top and I say, oh, you kind of fallen in the love there, aren't you? She's only allowed to say yes. She's not allowed to say with who, why, what, when, nothing. If I say, you've been in love for a while, because say the ribbon is way up here crossed instead of like this. If it's only been 6 months, she may not consider that a while. She's not allowed to say no. And then when I see the blue ribbon across the bottom, it tells me, okay, you really are trusting this person. You have put your trust in that person. She's only allowed to say yes if it's true. That right there will help you guys boost your intuition, because in your brain, you're not hearing, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Because even if someone says yes, but blah, 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 there's still that but in there. So your brain immediately goes, oh, I was wrong. So practice with somebody that you trust that is only allowed to say yes to the things that resonate and that are true. So there you go. So for those of you guys that joined me and that stayed the whole time, thank you very much. For those of you guys that just missed it, that came in and out, that didn't have a chance to stay, this will be on YouTube shortly. And if you guys want to catch it on YouTube, catch the whole thing to take better notes, etc., all of my social media is the Blue Bodhi. I will post this on YouTube. I will also post it on my Facebook. So you guys, please feel free to go rewatch, take notes, start ribbon reading for everybody. As mentioned before, I am super Celtic. I come from a long line of Irish travelers from Norse ancestry and Scottish ancestry. If you're worried about this being a close practice, I am gifting it to you. It is now yours. You have learned it. Please enjoy it. Please enjoy it. I am going to go. We're going to pack orders. And yeah, for those of you guys that got New Orleans goodie bags or Bodhi boxes, we will do a time lapse later of us packing all these together. I have a whole house full of people. We're going to crank the music up. We're going to eat some food. We're going to sling some bags. And we're probably going to get in each other's way and giggle about it. So, I love you guys. I hope y'all have a fantastic fucking Sunday. And go read some ribbons for people. Go enjoy it. Impress them with how cool you are. Just saying. Have a good Sunday, guys.